Okay guys, this is 2.5. This is precipitate reactions. This should be review for you guys. We've done precipitate reactions before. They're just net ionic equations. Okay, so there's nothing new here. Okay, so all we're going to do is it's just a dissociation, double dissociation reaction. We're just going to check to see if there's a precipitate, and if there is, then we're going to write a net ionic equation, which shows just the ions that form the precipitate, and then the spectator ions. Okay, that's all there is to this. So for this one here, we have zinc bromide and silver nitrate are mixed together. Does a reaction take place? Remember, a reaction only takes place if we get a precipitate. Otherwise, it just looks like you mix two watery fluids together and nothing really happened. Okay, so there has to be a precipitate. So let's write that out. So we're going to have zinc bromide, plus silver nitrate. And that's going to produce, remember, it's going to be like that. And equilibrium, NO3 plus silver bromide. Okay, so now I've written out the reaction. I haven't put the states in or anything like that. I'm just writing this out as a check. Okay, this is just to kind of help you out. So I have zinc bromide and silver nitrate producing zinc nitrate, silver bromide. So I look here. Okay, so my first one is nitrate. So I'm going to look up here on my chart for nitrate. And here's nitrate, NO3. And essentially for all, it's going to be soluble, so that means there'll be no precipitate. So I know for this one, boom, who cares? It doesn't form precipitate. Next one, silver bromide though. If I look here along, boom, there's bromide. First one there's silver. Okay, so what's the rule for silver? It has low solubility, so that means it's going to form a precipitate. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to write the net ionic equation for this. So silver bromide looks a little something like this. Silver is just a +1. And remember, we got to put the states in. That's going to be an aqueous plus bromide, which is -1, and that's an aqueous. That's going to form silver bromide, which is a solid. Now if you notice, even in the net ionic equation, I put the equilibrium arrows. Because what's happening is, as you have these two ions forming a precipitate, parts of the precipitate are actually going to break apart and reform these ions, okay? So it's not a solid in a sense, it's going to have parts forming and breaking apart at one time, okay? The rates will just be equal. It'll look like a solid because the concentration of this guy will be greater than this, but the rates will be the same, so it's an equilibrium. And then my spectators, and that's just going to be zinc, +1, and it's going to be nitrate, -1. Alright, so there's my net ionic equation there with my spectators. And that's all you do for these. Let's take a look here for the rest. So write a balanced equation for the following reactants. Then write the net ionic equation. Identify all spectators. So it's just like we did before. I'm not going to go through and show all my work, but here's just what I got. Okay, so for the first one, here's copper sulfate and sodium nitrate. Now it's going to produce copper hydroxide and sodium sulfate. You just make sure it's balanced because you're going to have two sodiums here, so you need two sodium hydroxides there. So all you're going to get is copper hydroxide, copper 2 hydroxide. Okay, now the one with this to remember is the copper here is a +2, and you have to look and see that for hydroxide on this chart. Oh wait, that's not the one, never mind. Copper 3 or 2 would have worked. Okay, so don't worry, wrong example. And then my spectators would just be sodium and hydroxide. Now the next one was magnesium bromide and sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid is this H2SO4. Magnesium bromide is MgBr2. They're going to dissociate to produce hydroboric acid and magnesium sulfate, or sulfide, sorry. If you look on your chart, there isn't going to be anything that bonds with hydrogen and bromide will not form a precipitate, and neither will magnesium and sulfide. So we get no reaction. When there's no reaction, it's okay, it's not the end of the world. Just all 4 ions will become your spectators, okay? We've done this before. It was on the Chem 20 final, and you guys should be fine. Alright, so good luck.